The detention of Miami Dolphins star Tyreek Hill has once again sparked conversations on policing in America, specifically the treatment of Black Americans. Last night, Miami-Dade County Police released body camera footage of the incident this past Sunday, showing officers stopping Hill as he drove to his team's stadium for a game, pulling him from his car, forcing him to the pavement, and handcuffing him.
Hey, keep your window down. Keep your window down. I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Give me that. I'm gonna break that window.
Get out of the car. Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out.
Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Damn. What part of blood are you in this town?
Hill was cited for careless driving and failure to wear a seatbelt before being released. Joining me now is Martenzie Johnson, senior writer for Anscape. Martenzie, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Amna.
So you write about this for your latest Anscape commentary. I just want to ask, what was your first reaction when you saw the video and just saw how this unfolded?
It was a semblance of here we go again. I've seen countless versions of this video play out over at least the last decade, at least when I've been an adult and being able to kind of comprehend what's going on. And again, it's the same thing where a Black man gets pulled over. It gets escalated because the police seem to want to escalate it. And then it turns into really violence against that Black person. At least in this case, Tyreek Hill walked away with no injuries. He wasn't shot. He wasn't tased or anything like that. But again, it's just been kind of part of the course for what I've seen over the last decade plus.
So Tyreek Hill went to the game, played in the game, spoke about this incident after the game, and he basically said he was wondering, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? In other words, do you think that him being a famous NFL star played a role in how this unfolded?
Oh, for sure. In that body cam footage that we just saw, if you kept playing that, you would hear at some point one of the officers say, "Do you know who that is?" The other officer being no, and then he says that's a Miami Dolphins football player, and he used an expletive like, "Oh, I think I messed up." So that probably led to Tyreek Hill actually being able to go to that game and have a successful game for the Dolphins that day. But yeah, if Tyreek Hill wasn't who he was, if he wasn't a professional football player, if he wasn't a celebrity, that could have been another hashtag that we've seen again over this last decade plus, stemming back to Trayvon Martin.
You know, we also see in here in the video, right before the clip we saw, there's sort of a verbal back and forth between the officer and Hill. The officer keeps telling him to put the window down. Hill keeps rolling it up. The officer then very suddenly, as we saw, orders him out of the car. And we should point out that the head of the South Florida Police Union said in an interview, if Mr. Hill would have just complied, it would have sped the process up. He also went on to say that people who are detained should obey lawful police commanders first and complain later. What's your reaction to that?
I mean, one, the police union official is doing his job, right? That's what all police officials are going to do in this case. They're going to stand up for their own. But this idea that if you don't comply, if you don't follow their orders, they can exact violence on you, that's not part of the job, right? They have a lot of leeway as police officers. They have qualified immunity that can get them out of lawsuits. They have, powers from the state to shoot and kill people without really any recourse. They get paid a salary that is much higher than most public service, not to mention the overtime that officers like that would get from working those games. So the least that they could do is de-escalate situations. That's all we're asking them to do. And they're saying that if you don't comply with us, if you try to escalate the situation, we'll go even further to the point of violently snatching you out of your car, putting you face first into the pavement, driving my kneecap into your back and arresting you just for, again, like you said, a traffic violation.
Martenzie, wrapped up in all these conversations about police duty to de-escalate and disproportionate police violence against Black Americans is the conversation about Tyreek Hill's own checkered past, right? His own allegations of violence and assault against women and a child in one case. How are you looking at that conversation?
Honestly, I don't think it really matters, right? I have my own opinions. I think a lot of people have their own opinions about Tyreek Hill's history, but something tells me those officers did not know that when they pulled him over. And not to mention, if they were pulling him over for that reason, we're not saying that these cops are just wild feminists and believe that they're taking up for women by arresting Tyreek Hill. That had nothing to do with it. This was just a case of, again, pulling over a Black man in a car, escalating the situation, and now turning it into this whole thing.
So even the Dolphins organization says that they want to see swift and strong action against these officers. In 30 seconds I have left, what kind of action do you think sends a message that discourages this from happening again?
Honestly, I'm not exactly sure, right? Every time one of these situations happen, and Tyreek Hill kind of said this himself, it leads to conversations about how do we repair these relationships. That's on the police to do that. That's not on us citizens. They have all the power here. They have all the leeway. It has to start at the top, and then maybe the relationship would be repaired.
That is Martenzie Johnson, senior writer for Andscape, joining us tonight. Martenzie, thank you. Good to speak with you.
Thank you. You too.